have coached well over 80 professionals, 80 associates throughout the US, Canada, and Brazil in commercial real estate in sales. I know a lot of people are saying just do this quick thing or focus on that. There's really 4 core principles that I will focus on and I will continue to focus on throughout the space. Number 1 is a mindset. B2B sales, commercial real estate, whatever you focus on, is not a part-time, pastime, hack, or whatever. It is really a lifestyle change, right? So B2B sales, this industry, what you become as a professional, is really a lifestyle change. And in that lifestyle change, it is a mindset. It's not something you could do after you get off work. This is the work, right? And there may not be too many other things you could do outside of that. That's number 1. So in that shift in the mindset, you need to have the mentality that you need to be proactive in what you're doing. You need to be proactive, and opportunity is not going to land in your lap. You need to anticipate your client, understand your client, nerd out, as I say, nerd out on your client. Anytime I'm working with somebody, I need them to have more of an interest in the thing that they want to do than me. I need to not be the person following up with you about what you want to do. You need to have the mentality that this is your all-in thing. You're going to do it one way or another. You're going to make this happen. When I decided to get into commercial real estate brokerage, a lot of the major houses would not return my calls. So I placed my license with Keller Williams and became the commercial guy in the office. That was a mentality that I had, right? That was the mindset that I was in, that I'm going to make this thing happen no matter what. And in that mindset and mentality, I was able to grow my professionalism, grow my career to where I am now. We'll talk about that, right? The second is planning. There's a lot of people say, just go out there and do it. Even in doing this podcast, there's a lot of people saying, oh, just film it on your iPhone. Just bootstrap it and do one thing or another. No, that is not the way that professionalism works. That's not the way that your clients in B2B sales work. Your clients often, if not always, have other people they're responsible to, right? So your clients have a plan. Who you want to work with has a plan. Who you partner with, they want to have a plan. And a plan consists 1, 3, and ultimately 5 years, right? And you understanding, we don't know what's going to happen 5 years from now. 5 years ago, we didn't know what was going on in the world, right? But to have a guide and a map to let you know where you're going and the direction in which you're going. Another thing a plan also does is a plan also tells you what's not for you, what's not worth wasting your time on, right? If you're in commercial real estate, if somebody wants you to get into selling pencils or insurance or what have you, if that's not in your plan, you cannot afford to work on it, right? And when I say afford, it's not just a monetary piece, it is the time and programming and planning. What I learned when I first moved to Dallas, it is what you can afford to work on, right? The third is execution. You need to really focus on execution. There's a new word out that I like. It's called, a lot of people are entrepreneurs, meaning they come up with a plan, it's a beautiful plan, the pictures are great, and they just expect things to happen, right? Things just don't happen. You have to implement your plan, you have to structure your plan, you have to structure what all you're doing going forward. You have to execute. And that's where excuses just aren't relevant, right? Execution is making that call and hearing no. Execution is putting out that pitch and getting turned down. Execution is falling 7 times and getting up 8. That's execution. And that's really where we see a lot of people kind of fall to the wayside because they have a great plan, they have the mindset, but they're scared to act. A lot of brokers say the heaviest thing for any new sales associate is their phone, right? It weighs more than a car because they just don't want to pick it up. They're scared of whether rejection, coming out wrong, stumbling over their words, hearing no. Well, the thing is, you're going to hear no, right? How many times are you okay with hearing no? Because hearing no enough times will get you to a yes, and that's how you get to sustainability, right? So sustainability is hearing enough yeses, figuring yourself out, figuring your industry out, and then going forward that way. Because when you hear yourself out, when you figure the industry out, when you go through enough no's and understand your client, then you get to focus on what is for you, where that is. And I want to stay on there for a second because a lot of people are scared to make a plan because they don't want to get too narrow and miss out on an opportunity here. Well, I have been a person that has thrown everything to the wall to see what sticks, and then I didn't have enough capacity to take advantage of the opportunity in front of me. So those are really the 4 principles that we're going to stick with throughout this entire podcast, throughout this entire series. Let's focus on that. That not only helps you on your career, that helps you on your investments, right? That helps you in your life. Having these 4 principles, it is that simple. It is not that easy. My first 10 years was a lot of movement, some foresight, trusting myself, being forced into situations that were good for me, and then making a lot of mistakes that I thought things and success would happen a lot sooner than what it was. So my first 10 years was a lot of lessons learned, technical ability, and figuring out my true gifts and skill set. Thank God for that. So being in Dallas, I worked for a public-private partnership, well, firm, a private firm, and I was advising on public-private partnerships and real estate development. And people talk about big things when they hit the news, when they hit your timeline or what have you. People talk about these big things as if they just happened in a matter of months, not realizing that every big deal, every big development, every big signing, every big client, at least is 3 years in the making, right? You just hear about it then. So at the time, again, I'm feeling as if I have FOMO, fear of missing out, right? So at the time, I have a huge issue with feeling like I'm being left behind. Now, mind you, this is 2008, 2009. So this is when there was no debt anywhere, no capital anywhere. Anything that was moving was stuff that was well in the works, already funded. I feel like I'm being left out. In 2008, 2009, the whole economy collapses. Well, not collapses, but really reduces. People are fearful at the time, so not much investment is going on. And so I'm wondering if my career's over. I'm wondering if I'm doing the right thing. I'm wondering, did I bet too much into real estate? And all the businesses are protecting their core revenue. Nobody's expanding at the time. In that, my major fear was, did I go too much towards my passion? Was I in default? Do I need to pivot? And because I'm not going to stop existing, right? You still have bills and expectations and education. At that time, I had a bachelor's in accounting from Grambling State University. I had a master's in real estate development from Arizona State University. I had a few real estate certifications. I had a strong network, but I had made a severe miscalculation by leaving Phoenix right when I graduated from my master's program, where I had a lot of relationships, and coming to Dallas, where I didn't have any relationships. I knew people from undergrad, but I didn't have any business relationships. I didn't know any decision makers. So essentially, the years I spent in Arizona, I essentially wiped that slate clean and started all over again. Yes, I had degrees. Yes, I had certifications. But at the end of the day, I was really starting from zero. So I go out, start networking, which has become a cliche. Go to a lot of industry events, the Urban Land Institute, all the different foundation events, CCIM, Certified Commercial Investment Member, all of these commercial real estate events, wanting to get to know decision makers. And I quickly found out the difference between where the clients are and where my competition in the information was. And in that, where the clients were versus my competition, it was interesting me putting all of the energy out, but now I needed to focus on where I put my energy. And that was a real lesson learned towards the end of my first 10 years of my career, that I need to be really mindful and not just be out to be out, not just be talking to be talking, not just be seen to be seen, but being very intentional with my time, with my communication, and with my follow-up. So I say all that to say that with us being in this economy in 2026, where it's feast or famine, and there's a lot of uncertainty, that this is not new, and I was there before. So now I'm talking to myself where I was 18 years ago and entering into this industry, and I'm talking to you with being in the space of, I see all these great things happening, yet it may not be happening for me as quick as I need it to. And the market has changed, whatever market, whether it's capital markets, debt, whether it's cash markets, it's changed from what it was 2 years ago, right? In that you will hear that a lot of people are still talking in the past of what it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But that is not what people are transacting on now, no matter what the industry that you're in. Now is a good time to know your industry, to be an expert, to be a technician in your industry, because that's what made the change for me 18 years ago, was understanding what needed to happen and what my client, what people were looking for. Now is not the time to have very high level conversations and hope things work out for the best. Now's the time to really change your lifestyle and be the expert and the technician in your industry. So with those 4 principles, what that ultimately leads to, and this is a valuable lesson for anybody in sales. I think there's a lot of bad training out there about always asking all the scripts to get something from somebody. The most valuable lesson I learned, and this was really through the execution phase and then the sustainability phase that I learned, that you won't necessarily learn in planning. The most valuable lesson I learned was to offer value and not ask for business. Now, a lot of people will say, well, how do I offer value if I don't know my client, right? And that's where I would say that's why you need to get to know your client. And that's what we'll talk about throughout this series, is getting to know your client and how you can offer value in a more sustainable, efficient way. When you offer value, you never go without any conversations. People are excited to hear from you. But when you're always asking for something, that's when a lot of times people will send you the voicemail or leave your texts or emails on unread, right? So stay tuned, follow us. I'm excited to go through this journey with you. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm really accessible via LinkedIn. Connect with me on there, and we'll go forward. See you next episode. Thank you for listening to the Murphy Cheatham podcast. If you found this information valuable, please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow.